Hello. Today we're going to be learning how to put fingerboard tapes on your instrument so that you can figure out where the fingers go in first position and also when you're shifting to third position. Now, the finger tapes that we're going to do today are for the intermediate students. So we're going to do first finger and third finger for violin and viola, first and fourth for cellos, and then as a student you will need to figure out between those fingers where the second finger goes and the third finger for cellos. And the third finger tape for first position will help you shape your hand, and the first finger tape will help you make sure that your hand is in the right spot on the fingerboard as you are learning to train your ear to find those notes. But then just remember that they are just kind of an approximate guide, and you still do need to use your ear to make the final determination if those notes are in tune. Sometimes your finger will be on the tape, but it still won't quite sound in tune, so trust your ear and just use the tapes as just sort of a rough guide of where to put them. And for the third finger tape, when you are shifting into third position, that's where your first finger will go, so the tape will help you to find third position. So let's get started. We're going to start with viola, and violin, the process is the same, so I'm not going to show you both. I'll just do the viola, and then it's the same process for the violin. Now, the first important thing is to know what note the finger tapes are going to go on. And so if we are going to do the first finger for first position, we're going to do the note that is a whole step above the open string. So if we're going to play the D string, it's the note E that we want to be locating. So I'm going to go ahead and use my tuner, and I hope that you can see that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pluck the string, D first, and then I'll find it's a little more than an inch above the end of the fingerboard. So until it registers in tune on the tuner, and if you're having a hard time getting it to register on the tuner, you could also use a bow, or if you wanted to play on a piano keyboard or another instrument, what the pitch should sound like. But find it till it sounds in tune. And then what I think is a nice step to do if you're at home, I don't usually do this if I'm putting it on as a teacher, but if you're at home, just take a pencil and just put a little mark. It's not going to damage your fingerboard to mark on it with a pencil, and you'll be able to see it, but it'll wear off pretty quickly. You're actually going to put your tape right over it. So go ahead and put a mark with your pencil, and then what you might want to do is go ahead and find the next one too, which is the third finger. So on the D string, that'll be the note G. And that should be also the one that matches the open G. They're both the same note. And then take your pencil, make a little mark there right in the middle of the finger, and you'll notice that the finger covers a little bit of ground. As long as you get it right in the middle of the finger, it should do. And then you want to take your fingerboard tape. Now we're using auto striping tape for this. I've tried a number of different kinds of tape, and the auto striping tape seems to work the best. It's very, very thin, so it's not going to create a raised, almost like a fret on your fingerboard, and it does seem to stay on pretty well, so the edges don't tend to curl or ravel, and it also doesn't leave a bunch of sticky residue on your fingerboard. Now, if there already is some sticky residue, maybe from tapes that have been applied previously and have fallen off, or stickers, or just from grime from your hands, it is a good idea to clean your fingerboard first. And if there is any adhesive on it, the best thing I've found for cleaning it is Goo Gone. That's a product that you can get at a hardware store, or just maybe Fred Meyer would have it. It's made of orange oil, and it's a solvent that's intended for getting adhesive off. It is safe on your fingerboard. I wouldn't put it all over your varnish on your instrument, but it is safe on your fingerboard, which has no varnish on it. And so just put a little bit of that on a cloth and just sort of work it in there, and it'll dissolve that adhesive. And what's a nice thing to do is just let it sit for a bit and then wipe it off, and it'll get all that adhesive off. And it actually, because it does have orange oil in it, it does condition condition the wood as well. So it's not harmful to the ebony that your fingerboard's made of, and it actually, I think, even helps it a little bit. So I'm not suggesting you put it on all the time, but just if you have to get adhesive off. Anyway, when we're ready to put the tape on, assuming your fingerboard is clean, you want to get the backing off, and the tape that I'm providing is black in color. I call this ninja tape because it's going to blend right into your fingerboard. So for the intermediate student, other people aren't going to be able to see their tapes on their instrument, but they will be able to see them, and it'll be a nice way to guide the player without cluing everybody in that they're still using tape. And the goal is to get out of the tape eventually. So if you're doing the first and third finger ninja tapes, hopefully by the end of the year you'll be finding those notes on your own. Anyway, take what is left of your thumbnail or a fingernail, and you want to just separate the backing from the tape and throw that backing away. And then I take my index fingers on the sticky side, and I'm going to go ahead and I will, with the sticky side up, put a finger on each side and then very carefully slide it under the strings. And then once it's under the strings, turn it around. And then bring it to that first little pencil spot. Go ahead and settle it in, and then put the edges down. Now, it is a good idea to wash your hands, or maybe even use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer before you do this, because if there is oil or any kind of grime on your hands, that's going to get right on the edges, and it could cause them to unravel. So clean hands to do this. All about touching it, because you don't want to be wearing off that adhesive. It's fairly delicate, but then as long as it's clean, it should lay really nicely, and then you've got a nice and very discreet finger tape on there. So this should be easy for the student to see, but not very visible from afar. They do also make colored striping tape, and so the colored tape is especially nice for the beginners because they can see it better. But when they just need it kind of from time to time to make sure their hand is in the right spot, or to guide them to the right spot if their note sounds out of tune, the black tape is really nice. So there's that one. Same process for doing the third finger. And again, if you've got if you have a beginner and they need more tapes, we sometimes put second finger on. And then I usually like to just do a sticker for the fourth finger, a whole step above the third finger. But for the intermediate student, I'm just really looking for them putting the hand in the right spot, establishing the proper hand shape, and then moving those fingers around to different finger patterns between the tapes. Let's move on to cello now. So for the cello, we are doing first finger and fourth finger. And let's go ahead and get the end pen out so we can find those notes. And you're going to need to find them by ear or using a tuner. And so we'll go ahead and again go on the D string to find our pitches. And it's usually a couple of inches from the end of the fingerboard, but it's a good idea to tune it with a tuner, and you can even use the bow to do that. But finding the right spot for that note is important. And then take your pencil, go ahead and draw just between a couple of the strings. You only really need a small little thing with the pencil to find it. And then the fourth finger, find the spot where it sounds in tune with the open string below it. So that's G on the D string. Again, go ahead and put a pencil mark, and then you'll take your tape. The tapes for the violin and viola were cut at about 2 inches, and for cello they might just need to be a little bit longer, maybe 2.5 inches is good. You technically can use the same tape, but the main thing is that it needs to be long enough that you can fit it around the strings down by the end of the fingerboard. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off that backing, and then carefully we'll take my index finger, put it under the strings with the adhesive side up, carefully slide it through under the strings, and then anywhere in here we want to just go ahead and turn it over so that the adhesive side is down. And the strings do get closer to the fingerboard as you go up, so turning it over when you've got a little bit more clearance in there is a good idea. And then go ahead and pick it up again, and then bring it up to that spot that we put the pencil mark. Just lay it on top, and then put the ends down. And then you've got a lovely ninja tape for the first finger. And again, these tapes are pretty covert, so it's not going to be super obvious that they're on there. But the student, if they do want to verify that their finger's in the right spot, it can be a helpful guide, and probably nobody else is going to notice that they even have the black tapes on. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions or if you need any help with this process. And the main thing is really try and get them in the right place, because having the fingers in the accurate place will help to train the student's ear to hear the correct pitches, so that eventually they'll be able to take the tapes off and find the correct pitches just using their ears. Good luck!